If we can produce the attack submarines in sufficient number and sufficient speed, then great. But if we can't, that becomes a very difficult problem because we don't want our servicemen and women to be in a weaker position and more vulnerable, and God forbid worse, because they're not in the right place in the right time.
We just have to be careful as we try to produce an Australian capacity that we don't end up in a time period where we're sort of less than we would otherwise be.
If you're not going to pay your bills, we're not going to defend you.
Looks to those allies and partners to step up, to share in the burden of their own defense. It's only fair that our allies and partners do their part. We can't want their security more than they do.
What we'll do is we'll determine our defence policy, and we've invested just across the forwards an additional $10 billion in defence.
Australia's defence is served by us acting in partnership with our allies. That's how it works. The idea that Australia unilaterally can undertake this is absurd. It's fanciful. The US has every right to go and look at things from time to time. I wouldn't overread that. But we should understand that our defence and our security depends on our network of alliances. And as far as AUKUS is concerned, it's the strongest one and the most important one we've struck in 70 years. And it's the one that I've noticed that the Chinese in particular have really reacted to, probably more than any other I've seen. So that tells you something, I think, about its strategic merit.
Mate, I don't say this lightly, but Anthony Albanese might have just stitched us up for the biggest national embarrassment since that bloke tried to microwave a meat pie on live telly. No joke. This isn't just about submarines, defence budgets, or cozying up to China. It's about whether we've still got a spine as a country, or if Albo just handed it over in a bloody gift box to whoever shouts loudest. Because right now, thanks to the Albanese government's pure genius in diplomacy. And by genius, I mean the kind that'd lose a pub trivia night while cheating. Donald J. Trump has turned his eyes on us. And they're not kind eyes. They're not matey. How's it going eyes? They're, you stuffed me, now pay the price, eyes. Before we rip into this Albanese disaster class, where Albo snubs Trump, cuddles up to China and fumbles our national defence like a dropped meat pie, smash that like button, like it just cancelled the AUKUS deal and blamed it on climate change. Subscribe if you're sick of watching Australia get sold off one submarine at a time. And grab the Tax Me If You Dare shirt. Links in the description before they tax your loyalty next. While Anthony Albanese is out here giving himself a fourth pay rise, mate, and hugging China tighter than your nan hugs her pokey machine, Trump's had enough. And frankly, so have we. The United States, under President Trump, yes. Again, President Trump, because apparently 2020 was just a dress rehearsal, is now officially reviewing our precious submarine deal, that AUKUS deal, the one we all got told would protect us from Chinese warships popping up off the Gold Coast. Yeah, that's the one Trump's now looking at with a fat red stamp that reads, under review. Why? Because we wouldn't fork out more money for defense. Trump said it clear as day. If you won't pay for your own protection, don't expect the Yanks to come flying in with capes and missiles when the SHT hits the fan. Fair call, honestly. Why the hell are we still coasting at 2% of GDP on defense when the US, dealing with its own crap, is demanding 3.5% just to keep the alliance alive? Albanese's answer? Nah, we're good. Like some stingy bloke at the pub who orders water and eats your chips. And don't think it's just about dollars. Albo's gone and pissed off Trump again. This time by slapping sanctions on Israel. Yup. 2 far-right Israeli ministers got sanctioned by Australia, and what does Trump's administration do? Goes ballistic. Marco Rubio came out swinging. Trump's top defense officials are whispering, can we even trust these Aussies anymore? And here's the kicker. They've got a point. Imagine being America. You give Australia tech, weapons, intel, a nuclear submarine deal, and then we turn around and start pulling this woke diplomatic stunt bullshit while refusing to pay our fair share. No wonder Trump's circling like a bloody shark. Look, I get it. No one wants to throw more cash at defense when rent's $800 a week and your lettuce costs more than your phone bill. But this isn't about cutting back on lattes. This is about whether we've still got the guts to stand on our own, or whether we're just another polite little puppet waiting to get rolled by Beijing. Because make no mistake, China's not mucking around. They're building ships, stacking missiles, and buying up land like Monopoly on steroids. And what are we doing? Arguing over defense spending like it's optional. Let me break this down for the people up the back, eating their Tim Tams and pretending not to care. America might not give us those submarines. Not because they can't. Although, let's be real, they're flat out keeping up with their own production. But because they no longer trust us. And Albanese made that decision easy for them. He had the gall to look the most unpredictable, most transactional US president in modern history dead in the face and say, "Nah, mate, we'll spend what we reckon." That's not strategy. That's asking to get slapped. Remember Elbridge Colby? Yeah, he's the Undersecretary of Defense Policy in Trump's team now, the guy reviewing our deal. He's already said giving Australia submarines when the US can't make enough for itself would be, quote, stupid. His word. Not mine. Stupid. And what does Albo do? Doubles down. Talks about how we're doing enough. Like he's playing SimCity, not steering a bloody country. And don't think it's just about the subs. Trump and his crew see the Albanese government as unreliable. Too soft. Too left. Too woke. And before you roll your eyes at the word woke, let me ask you this. If you're running the biggest military in the world, would you trust your weapons with a government that cancels visas because someone tweets about Israel? Yeah, that happened too. We denied entry to a Jewish tech expert from the US because he posted a defense of Israel online. Apparently that was a threat to national order. You couldn't make this stuff up. Trump's people warned about censoring Americans. And what does Albo do? Does exactly that. Then shrugs. Like it's just another day at the office. Now the review's underway. Not some casual once-over. A serious, full-blown reassessment. And what happens if we lose those submarines? What happens if America says, you know what? Stuff it. Keep your cash, we're keeping our nukes. We're stuck. That's what happens. Stuck with aging Collins-class submarines that should have been decommissioned when Facebook still had a poke button. We'll be floating out there with rust buckets while China's parading stealth destroyers in the South Pacific. And Albo? He'll still be smiling, talking about dialogue and global leadership, while the rest of us are left wondering how we ended up this screwed. But hang on. It gets worse. Because this isn't just incompetence. This is calculated. This is a government that chose to poke the bear. That knew what would rile up Trump and went and did it anyway. Probably to score points with voters who care more about hashtags than national security. And while we're at it, let's talk about those pay rises. Albanese gave himself 4 pay bumps, while telling everyday Aussies to tighten their belts. What's the message here? Work hard, pay your taxes, and maybe we'll throw you a participation trophy while we sink billions into ideas we never follow through on. And don't let the government's calm and confident press releases fool you. Behind the scenes, they're scrambling. Richard Marles, our defense minister, is acting like everything's sweet, calling it a natural review. Yeah, right. That's like saying a tornado is just nature doing a bit of rearranging. Meanwhile, Scott Morrison, yeah, ScoMo, the bloke who actually negotiated the AUKUS deal in the first place, is now the only one making sense. He's out here reminding us the whole bloody thing was built on trust, and that we're torching it faster than a lithium battery in a hot ute. Trump's not mucking around, folks. He wants allies that are useful, not ones that post about gender-neutral torpedoes or host climate summits while China launches spy balloons. And if you're thinking, maybe America's bluffing, think again. Trump lives for this kind of flex. He's already told NATO to pay up or shut up. He's pulled troops, threatened trade, and cancelled deals faster than you can say, fake news. You reckon he won't do it to us? This isn't about whether you like Trump. Doesn't matter if you think he's the second coming or a walking conspiracy theory. What matters is, he's the President of the United States right now. and he's the one holding the keys to the subs we need to survive. So ask yourself this. Did Albanese just gamble away our security to win Twitter points? Did he really think he could slap Trump across the face, metaphorically for now, and still expect him to play nice? Because here's the terrifying reality. America might decide it's just not worth it, that we're not worth it, and if they do, it won't just be a blow to defense. It'll be a signal to the entire world that Australia is all talk, no trousers. We'll be on our own. Literally. And that's not a conspiracy theory. That's a direct consequence of the decisions made in Canberra under the bloke who thought being Prime Minister was about virtue signalling and lining his pockets, not protecting the bloody nation. If you're not angry yet, you're not paying attention. If this submarine deal goes belly up, if China makes its move while we're twiddling our thumbs, if the US says, nah mate, fend for yourself, just remember who made that bed. And when you're lying in it, cold, alone, and wondering what went wrong, you'll know it was Albanese. The bloke who thought globalist applause mattered more than national survival. Righto, strap in, because if you thought the first half was spicy, this next bit's the full bloody vindaloo. No filters, no spin. Just raw, uncut reality about the mess Albo's landed us in, and why things might get even darker for Australia if we keep letting these numpties in Canberra drive the bus while blindfolded and full of their own self-importance. Now let's talk about consequences, real ones. Because this ain't a Netflix political drama. This is the future of our national security, our economy, and quite literally, our sovereignty. And Albanese, he's out there playing footsie with international organisations, still acting like he's hosting a uni debate instead of leading a nation staring down the barrel of an existential threat. Donald J. Trump isn't bluffing. The bloke has nothing to lose and everything to prove. He's a second-term president now, meaning he doesn't have to pander to swing states or pretend to care about optics. He's got 4 years to reshape the world in his image. And right now, we're on the chopping block. You think Trump's forgotten how we dogged him the first time around? You think he didn't notice when Albanese and his mates treated him like a punchline instead of the leader of our biggest ally? Mate, the man's got a memory like an elephant and a grudge like a Balkan war. He's not just reviewing the AUKUS deal to tick a bureaucratic box. He's doing it to send a message. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And what are we doing in response? Acting like it's all good. Business as usual. Miles gets up and says, "We're confident in our relationship." Confident? What are we confident in exactly? That the Americans will take pity on us when the Indo-Pacific turns into a hot zone? That they'll overlook the Albanese government spitting in their face every chance they get? Let's call it what it is. Delusion. The Yanks are sick of being the world's free security detail, and Trump's made that brutally clear. He doesn't care about alliances the way past presidents did. If you're not useful, you're gone. And right now, under Albo, Australia's about as useful to Trump as a solar panel in a blackout. Here's the brutal part nobody in Canberra wants to admit. Not only are we not pulling our weight, we're actively pushing America away. That submarine deal? It's not just about tech. It was symbolic. It was meant to signal that Australia was ready to step up, to play in the big leagues, to hold the line against Chinese aggression in our region. But what do? We underfund our military. We shrink our manufacturing base. We cancel visas for pro-Israel Americans. We slap sanctions on Israel while China builds airstrips on coral reefs and circles Taiwan like a hawk. And while the US is fighting to re-establish dominance in the Pacific, Albanese is out here cozying up to Beijing, like he's hoping they'll go easy on us when the missiles start flying. And don't even get me started on China, because that's the elephant in the room that Albo seems too gutless to deal with. It's like he's hoping if we're nice enough, polite enough, silent enough, China will just ignore us. Spoiler, they won't. Weakness doesn't invite mercy. It invites conquest. China doesn't give a damn about our climate leadership or inclusive foreign policy. They respect power, strength, and self-reliance. Right now, they look at Australia and see none of that. They see a country with outdated submarines, declining manufacturing, a government too afraid to even name the threat, and a population asleep at the wheel. And meanwhile, Trump's looking at us like, why should I help them if they won't help themselves? And you know what? He's got a point. This is where the Albanese government's cowardice becomes not just embarrassing, but outright dangerous. We're heading into a new Cold War, whether we like it or not. And unlike the last one, this one's being fought with hypersonic missiles, AI-driven drones, cyber attacks, and economic warfare. There are no front lines. The battlefield is everywhere, and the margin for error is basically zero. Yet somehow our government is still pretending we're in the 90s, still acting like the UN is going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya when things kick off, still passing climate emergency motions in Parliament while China preps for war. It's fantasy. It's delusion. And it's going to get people killed. Meanwhile, Trump's team is playing hardball. They've already started reviewing defense tech exports to Australia. Not just submarines, but weapons systems, missile platforms, radar tech. You think that's accidental? You think that's just red tape? No way, mate. That's leverage. That's Trump telling Albanese, get your act together or we're out. And if America pulls out of AUKUS, or even just stalls it, it sends a message to everyone. Australia can't be trusted. We become radioactive. Japan stops sharing intel. India pulls back. Even the UK, our supposed brothers in arms, will start to question whether we're still worth the investment. That means we're alone. In the most dangerous era since World War II, with China expanding, Russia meddling, and the US no longer picking up the phone. We'll be left holding the bag, armed with nothing but outdated patrol boats and bureaucratic spin. And Albanese, he'll still be out there hosting roundtables on gender equity in defense procurement. Now let's talk about the economy. Because this isn't just about submarines and missile systems. If Trump ices us out, the ripple effect is massive. Trade deals get delayed. Tech partnerships fall apart. Foreign investment dries up. And every American company operating here suddenly gets nervous. The US is still our biggest investor, whether we like it or not. And Trump is the kind of president who'll absolutely punish countries economically if they cross him. Remember what he did to France? Canada? Even NATO allies. Tariffs. Sanctions. Regulatory chokeholds. All of it. You think he won't do it to us? Especially when Albanese keeps poking the bear? We're already seeing whispers of deals being reassessed. American defense contractors going quiet. Meetings postponed. Delays without explanation. This is how it starts. Quietly. Behind the scenes. By the time it's public, it's too late. But no one in the media is talking about this because they're too busy covering the PM's latest TikTok post or gushing over whatever climate summit he's flown off to. On a private jet, no less. The hypocrisy is unreal. This is the bloke who lectures Aussies about sustainability while racking up more air miles than a bloody seagull. And while he's out there virtue signaling, real power is shifting. Fast. China's locking down trade routes. Russia's circling the Arctic. Iran's talking about nukes again. And Trump's looking at the world like a monopoly board. If you're not putting in the work, you're off the board. So where does that leave us? It leaves us with a choice. We can keep pretending things are fine. Keep electing soft leaders who'd rather please Twitter than protect Australians. Keep cutting defense budgets while our enemies triple theirs. Keep begging America for favors while simultaneously insulting their president. Or we grow the hell up. We up our defense spending. Not just to make Trump happy, but because it's the only sane move in this geopolitical storm. We reinvest in manufacturing, build the weapons, the infrastructure, the alliances we actually need. Not just for show, but for survival. We stop playing woke politics with our allies. Stop slapping sanctions on Israel like we're trying to win moral brownie points from countries that don't even like us. Start acting like a sovereign nation that wants to survive the 21st century. Because here's the truth, no one wants to say out loud, no one's coming to save us. Not America, not the UN, not the EU, and definitely not China. The only people who can protect Australia are Australians. And that starts by firing the people currently running it into the ground. Albanese has proven, again and again, that he's not up for this job. He might be fine running a seminar, moderating a panel, maybe even hosting a radio show. But running a nation facing the greatest global instability in decades? Nah, mate, he's out of his depth. Worse, he doesn't even seem to realize it. And if we don't fix that soon, if we don't demand more, not just from our government, but from ourselves, then we deserve what's coming. Because history doesn't care about good intentions. It doesn't care about hashtags. It cares about power, about preparation, about who's willing to fight and who's willing to fold. Right now, we're folding. And every day, we let Anthony Albanese pretend everything's fine while the world burns around us. We get closer to the moment when it's too late. So share this. Talk about it. Scream about it. Because if we don't, if we keep quiet, if we keep playing nice while everyone else sharpens their knives, we'll wake up one day wondering when we lost our country. And the answer will be simple. When we let Anthony Albanese sell it out. Stay angry. Stay awake. And stay ready. Because the next chapter in this story, it's already being written. And if we don't rewrite it ourselves, Trump, China, and every other power player on the board will be more than happy to do it for us. And they won't write us in as the heroes. They'll write us out completely. See you in the next one. And don't forget to slap that like button, like it just torpedoed our last shot at national defense. Oi, and if you're really fired up, grab the tax me if you dare tee. Wear it to the next town hall, the next budget bombshell, or just your local servo while wondering why we're losing allies and gaining enemies. Stay loud. Stay awake, and never stop fighting for the Australia they're selling out beneath our feet.